All right, so hello friends and welcome to our first lesson. So of course, we need to set up our workspace here. So if you don't have the Unity application yet, simply go to the Unity website, download the Unity Hub, and from there it will ask you to download the Unity editor. And then that's where we can start creating our inventory system. Now, once you have that, this is what it looks like. This is the Unity Hub. And from here, if I, let's say, click on Get Set Up, if you don't have the application or the editor yet, it will ask you to download it. But then once you have that, you can simply go to Projects and you can create your a new project. Now, for those who know how to use this already, you can also use templates. And of course, everything that you work on will also show on this window right here. Now, for the beginners, of course, we'll be creating a new project. I'm gonna go ahead and click on New, and then again, we'll be able to see different kind of starter templates. So if you don't want to start from scratch, you can use any of this. But then for this specific video, I use this template right here. So if you click that, you can see that it's highlighted and we are using this template. So just fill in the project name and the file path where you want this to be saved. If you have any source control provider, you can simply just click this drop down and just choose between any of this. Right now I don't have any, so you can just simply create a project if you're happy with this name and location right here. Now, once you have created a project, it might just take time depending on your machine and on the template that you've used. But then once you have that, you'll be greeted with this one. You might see the welcome tutorial tour, so you can go through that if it's your first time going inside the Unity platform. And if you know something already, you can just skip that and just follow along with the video. So you can also skip that if you're a beginner and just follow me along with this video right here. It can be overwhelming for first timers, and you can see a lot of text, a lot of interfaces here, a lot of buttons, a lot of tabs, so on and so forth. But then don't worry, once you get familiarized, it would be easy for you to navigate on this platform right here. Now, of course, you might see a different window or panels on your first time, but don't worry, you'll also get through this once you follow along. So here you'll pretty much see the same options, but then I want you to just focus on this AI right here. So if it's your first time, it might ask you to agree on some things and install the package. So it might also just take time, but then once the package finish installing, you'll see this window right here. And again, if you just want to practice and to get familiar with the, you can start on the 14-day trial. It's pretty useful. I think it would just take you 5 or 10 credits for each prompt right here. So 1,000 credit for the free trial would be a lot already. You can really play around with it. Now, down here, you can also open the assistant or generate something new like a 3D object, animation, material, sound, sprite, texture, or cube map, which is really amazing. So this is still in beta, but then it's really, really helpful. I was only again able to create an inventory system in a matter of minutes. So what we'll do here is we'll open the assistant. You can see for Windows, Control-Alt-A is the keyboard shortcuts. Now, before we write a single line of code here, let's think about what an inventory system is really made of. So at its core, every inventory system has 3 things. Of course, the first one would be the items, and these are the actual things a player can pick up, like a sword, a potion. It can be like just some item like a star or an armor. So it will have a name, an icon, maybe a description and some stats. And the second one would be slots. Of course, these are the spaces in the inventory where each item sits. And think of it like a grid of boxes. Each box can hold 1 item. And of course, the third one would be quantity. So some items can stack. Like if, for example, we pick up, let's say, 5 health potions, we don't need 5 separate slots. We just need the 1 slot that can hold off those 5 health options or potions. So now that we know what we're building, there goes the question that how do we structure this in Unity? And again, that is exactly where the Unity AI comes in. Now let's go ahead and go to the Unity Assistant here, or AI Assistant here. And let's just explore the different kind of things we can do with it. First, if we go to this drop down right here, we have three options. We have the agent, we have the plan, and we have the ask. So again, we're going to start off with ask right here. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and click that. And ask mode is great when you just want advice, and it won't touch your project. It just talks to you and helps you think through the problem. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just paste the first prompt that I have here. So I'm asking it, or I'm just asking it that I'm building an inventory system in Unity 6. What's the best way to structure the data for items, inventory slots, and quantities? Should I use scriptable object or plain C# classes? So again, the more detailed you prompt with the AI, of course, in any AI or model, I believe you've also watched or learned other AI courses. So the main rule here, or the golden rule here, is to be as detailed as you can so that you don't get vague responses. So let's see what it says. I can just press enter, or I can just click on this send prompt right here, right? And then you can see that it's now preparing. So it will analyze our question or prompt here, and then it will give us a relevant response. I'm just gonna go ahead and look at the thoughts down here. You can see that's giving us thoughts, still reasoning. So you can just watch the AI or model in action. All right, there you go. So if we scroll up here, you can see for a robust inventory system in Unity 6, the best practice is to use hybrid approach, scriptable objects for static data, and plain C# classes for dynamic data. So you can see that the assistant gave us a breakdown here. So it's recommending us to use scriptable objects for item definition, things that don't change at the runtime, like the item's name, icon, and description. And it's also suggesting us plain C# classes for the runtime inventory state. So things that do change, like which items are currently in which slot. So that's actually really solid pattern, and it's exactly what we're going to follow. But then let me just go ahead and explain the difference between the two here real quick. So first, the scriptable objects are like a template or a blueprint. So for example, we create one sword scriptable object, and that defines what a sword is. So it will have a name, its icon, its damage value. You create it once, and every sword in your game shares that same blueprint. So for example, or in the other hand, the plain C# classes, they are actually great for live data, the stuff that changes while the game is running. So which slot is the sword in? How many health potion does the player have right now? That kind of thing. So our plan here is simple. We'll be creating three scripts. So we have item data, which is going to be the scriptable objects, and this is going to be the blueprint for each item type. We'll also have the inventory slots, which will have a C# class, and it will track what's in each slot that we have on the inventory. And of course, we have the inventory, which is also a C# class, and it will manage the full list of our slots here. So now that we know the best approach, we'll go ahead and just scroll down here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the agent mode here. And this is where the magic happens. So agent mode can actually make changes to our project. It can create scripts, modify game objects, all of that. So now that we are on agent mode, we're going to go ahead and give it our instructions. So here, I ask it to create the following C# script in the asset scripts inventory folder. We have the item data, we have the inventory slots, and the inventory script right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit send. All right, just like so. And again, if you look at the item data, it's going to be the scriptable object, just like what I mentioned earlier. The inventory slot is going to be a plain C# with fields for item data and so on. And the inventory will be a mono behavior with a list of inventory slots and methods to add item and remove item. So right now it's already generating those scripts and creating that. And if you notice down here, it will always ask you to, let's say, approve or deny. So we have deny, we have allow here. So it would not directly do the changes without your intervention. So it's always, there is always a human in the loop. So we also have the option to just allow this once or to allow them always for this conversation. So at this point, I'm going to say for the conversation, and I'm going to go ahead and click allow. You can see that there will be 3 requests. Right now, if I, let's say, click on allow, you can see that it did not ask me the second time and the third time because I asked it to just always allow this for this conversation right here. So now it will always do that. And as you can see, it was able to create those scripts. Now, if I, let's say, go here to assets and go to the scripts, you can see we have the inventory folder, just like what we've asked it to do. All right, so right now it's still doing those changes. So let's just give it some time. And once it's done, you should be able to not see this progress bar right here. All right, just like so. And if I, let's say, click on the inventory folder, you can see we have now those 3 scripts that we asked it to create. Now let's just have a look at this script right here. I'm going to go ahead and double click that. And that would open your editor, whatever default code editor you have. So in my case, I'm using VS Code. All right, so you can see that it creates this script right here. You can see that it is a mono behavior, so we can attach it to a game object. So it has a list inventory here. So again, it's a mono behavior. And our AI assistant also generated the add item and the remove item, just like what we've asked it to do. Now let me just go ahead and go back here and also open the inventory slot and the item data right here. And let me go ahead and double click or click on our VS Code. You can see that we have those written in here. Now, this is important right here. Always read through the AI generated code before you use it. You don't need to understand every line, but you want to make sure it makes sense. So if something looks wrong or confusing, just go back to the assistant and ask it to explain it. Let me actually show you how to do that. So I'm going to go back here and then I'm going to just go to ask mode again. And for example, I can just say, can you explain what the add item method in the inventory.cs does step by step? And I can just go ahead and press on enter. So at that point, of course, it will first analyze the prompt or the question, and it's going to go ahead and prepare its response for this specific question. And as you can see, it says that the add item method in the inventory.cs script manages how items are stored when they are picked up or added to the player collection. And it also gave us a step-by-step breakdown of what happens when we call it. So first, receive input parameters. Second, it search for existing stacks, check for available space, create a new slot, and then handle a full inventory. It also gave us an example, a scenario, which is quite awesome. So at this point, you fully understand what that specific function does. So there you have it. Now on the next lesson, we're going to take this scripts and build the actual UI grid, so the visual inventory panel that the player sees. And of course, Unity AI is going to help us with that too. So all that and more, I'll see you in the next lesson.